All right. Coming to you from, where am I? In Hollywood, Florida. Thank you guys for joining. It's always an honor to see so many people join these calls. Course in Miracles is something that is super close to my heart, dear to the messages that I share. And really such a huge impact with Florida. Huge influence in my life and the way that I create community and such. Okay, muted out this. All right, so today we'll just continue the reminder or the conversation of spirituality and money. This is such a great conversation because, not very many people use it together on a daily basis. It's kind of like money is a separate conversation, then God and spirituality is a different conversation. And in a lot of spiritual communities, money is almost seem like the root of evil, right? Capitalism, governments, anything that has to do with money. A lot of spiritual communities are like, let's not talk about money, right? It's almost like it's a bad thing. But money makes everything go round. Money is how the world moves. Money is really, it's neutral. The Course says that it can either be used good or for bad. And most of us understand that. But what we want to talk about on these calls is to address and look at our own minds, because that's where the Course, and I don't have my book with me, which I never go anywhere without, but I forgot it this time. Pretty crazy. But the Course really says that it's about looking into yourself, how you're making the world seem to be. The world could be a happy place or the world could be a nightmare. And that's up to you and how you see what is real in your mind. Because whatever we make real in our mind first, we project it out into the world and then we perceive it back like it's the world's fault that things happen. It's other people's fault that things happen. But all of us can look at a situation and have a completely different experience or interpretation around it. We could see losing money in an investment deal, and two people can look at it. One could completely become a victim of it and blame people, blame this, blame that, blame the person that introduced me to this person, and so on and so forth. And another person can look at it and see completely how they participated in the event happening. All the way to my energy is what causes something to happen, right? Maybe I brought some sort of energy to the space that caused it to go south. See, which one is more powerful for you to stay in? That's really the question. Because the more you recognize your own power, the more you start to step into the nature of who you are and what you were created to be. And the more power that you start to recognize in yourself, the more you realize that I am the one that decides the outcome of any scenario. And the way that we decide the outcome of it is how we interpret it. If we know and we have absolute certainty that abundance in heaven and the end is a happy place for us to go, then everything else must be a stepping stone to get there, including some things and some events and situations that happen that is not of our preference, right? It could totally be losing money, losing a friend, losing a family member, losing a pet. All of these things that happen in our life is a stepping stone to heaven. And ultimately, if we're all going there, and a lot of my decisions that I think are hard for me, I think about the moment that I pass, that when my life is, when my physical body life is done here, like, would this even matter to me? Right? Like, and a lot of the things come down to ownership. I'm creating a community, and this is a constant reminder in my mind all the time, creating a community. And the ego part of me is like, you have to be the face of it. You have to be leading it. You have to do this. You have to do that. Otherwise, something may happen and your community may turn into something that you didn't want it intended to be. And again, that comes to the ego part that's like, you are special. Our ego always says that we are special, and that is the problem. Because when we go, can we create something while we're alive that is sustainable, that is all inclusive, that is forgiving, that is of love, that will last forever? Because anything that comes from the ego will not last forever. If I created a community that was dependent on me, when I go, then it goes. And so I'm constantly in this mindset, like shifting from, okay, it's me, then it's how do I replace myself? How, if I was not here, can this thing be sustainable? How do I create something that is eternal in nature, beyond me, beyond anybody that's individual? How can a community be in such a way that it is always ongoing? And so I'm studying and I'm looking at the companies that have lasted through generations. And yes, it is passed down to kids and to the next generation, but there's also a lot of companies that are run by board members. And they can go beyond as long as we teach other people to teach. So this weekend, I had a birthday party and we were talking, and I continued to try to refine the vision of the community that I'm trying to build. And it comes simply down to this now. Our model, or at least mine, is, and I want to build out this culture, is that I want to inspire other people to inspire. That is it. I don't need to put down specifically what that needs to look like. I don't need to make a definition of what inspiring means. Everybody will come up with that themselves. But my job is to inspire other people to inspire. That way, this goes on. This can go on forever. A lot of people want to take the credit, hold on to it. That is it. I want to pass anything that I know and that I learn to others in such a way that they understand, that they get it, that it's not about keeping it, it's about passing it along to somebody else. So money. This morning, I was talking to ChatGPT for a while. I have ChatGPT, the AI that's out there right now, on my phone. If I say, hey, SIRI, it will respond with Legends AI at your service. It's so cool. And I was asking a lot of questions about God and money, spirituality and money. And I got an amazing response at one point that said, money is a symptom of the relationship between people and the world. And freedom is a mindset which is generated from within. So freedom, right? Freedom is the mindset that is generated from within, which allows us to see the flow of money. And this is why I believe this call is so important. At least it's really important for me in being very clear in my spiritual path and allowing the things that I do with money to be guided by that. A lot of us and a lot of people in the world are guided and driven by just simply accumulating money, the accumulation of money. And then what happens? Like after you've accumulated, and then what? And let me just, oh no, cannot be paused. All right, there's a part that I wrote earlier this week, and I can't really remember it right now, but it's basically says that miracles, okay, the course talks about miracles as being as shifting from perception of fear to love. But the next line behind that is But the true miracle is the love that inspired that to even happen. So there's two levels of miracles, which is the same thing as how we recognize money. There's two levels of recognizing money. There's one conceptually that we get that money is neutral, and that the more money we have, it amplifies ourselves, really. Like the goodness or the evilness, quote unquote, that's in our mind. And our mind will amplify that with more money. So money itself, shifting our idea of our money from a place of scarcity to a place of abundance, is a miracle. But the true miracle behind even the possibility of that shift is the love that we have to step into, and our ability to earn money and to recognize freedom, which is the mindset that is generated from within. Our ability to even recognize that comes from the love that guides us in how we spend our money, the career that we pursue, how we are in relationship with people in the world. Money is just an exchange of currency in between. And freedom is the recognition of the exchange that is happening. Well, that's a good one, actually. I've never said that before. That just came right now. So thank you guys. Oh my God, what did I just say? Money is the exchange of energy. Oh man. All right, 10:15. I gotta remember that. So anyways, that's my opening to today's call. I want to just again, it's always about the forgiveness work. Forgiveness is bringing forth all that which is loving only. All that I express, the way that I express love and love that was expressed to me. Forgiveness is to see only that in my life. Everything else is an interpretation of a story of my past that I made up, which is not wholly true. So forgiveness is to bring forth all that is loving, and including our conversation with money, which is simply how we relate to the world. The amount of service that you offer to people in this world oftentimes will reflect the amount of energy, money energy, that shows up in your life. If you are not having that, then it must mean you have not served enough people. How do you serve more people? One of the things that we're doing in our think tank, one of the questions is, what is a problem that we're going to solve? And then how do we serve it to the masses? Because it'll be easier and it'll be more comfortable for you to serve just one person. If you're a coach, it's much easier to coach one person one-on-one. How do you go and coach 100 people? How do you go and coach 1,000 people at a time, 10,000, 100,000? And the more people, the more capacity in which you can see yourself serving those people will equate and reflect the dollar amount that is exchanged back to you. It's not about like money itself. The value of money is only defined in our own minds. Every day it's literally changing. And we're like, I don't know. I don't really know how to calculate inflation. But it's just always changing. Inflation doesn't even matter. Inflation is simply a rule or a law telling you that your money is decreasing in value every day. If you sit and do nothing, it is decreasing in value every day. But in your mind, you can change the value of every dollar bill, every $100 bill that's in your pocket. And as you increase the value of your time, the value of money will decrease even more. So yeah, let's open it up with that. And if anybody wants to ask any questions, share anything, I hope that this is we can create a space here in which in which we can, heal some of our own thoughts around money. Money is the exchange of energy. Freedom is the release of that. Freedom is more like the recognition of that which is being exchanged, like bring awareness to what's actually being exchanged. I think that's what I said. Anyways, we'll go back 10:15. I'll check it out later. It sounded pretty good when I said it. Cannot remember it whatsoever right now. So yeah, let's open it up to any thoughts, any questions about this topic. And all things are related. It may be money, but it may also just be somebody that is in your life that's triggering you. An event, a person who you haven't forgiven. Or we can simply just keep going on. Okay. Well, let's see what else. So, yeah, this week we are chilling in Hollywood, Florida. And, okay, here's a couple things. So, I've recently been trying to, and I don't know, maybe recently or not, but I continued to challenge my belief in what's expensive. Because sometimes I think about things like, this is ridiculous. It's a waste of money. Like it began, I remember one of the first times it began was when I was at Office Depot. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at a pen. I'm looking for a nice pen. I'm actually looking for pens I want to give out to people in, because people ask for pens in conferences all the time. I want to give them a nice pen. So I'm like looking at nice pens and all of a sudden I see a pen that's like $45. I'm like, who the hell in the world would buy a pen for $45? I was already thinking $5 was expensive for a pen. And I'm looking at those and I see a $45 pen. And I remember Grant Cardone telling a story of when he was sitting at dinner and he saw a bottle of wine for $6,000. And he also said in his mind, he said, no matter how rich I get, I would never, ever spend this type of money. And he recognized that there was some scarcity thoughts that was happening in his mind. So immediately he ordered the $6,000 bottle of wine. And me, being like Grant Cardone, I bought the $45 pen. I still have it, and I sign all my contracts with it now. So it kind of, I have a little special relationship with it. But now I don't have this limitation on price on pen. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I make up the value of it. Because if I really think about it, now that I've developed this relationship with this pen is probably worth to me in my mind $200 now, at least. It's got some sort of sentimental value. And, I did the same thing with a watch. And then I recently, this past weekend, I did the same thing with renting a car. And all that does is expand my capacity to think about money, to think about what I deserve and what I can and cannot have, right? Because if I'm like, no, this is expensive, never, I want it. I want a nice car. I really want this really nice car, but I won't even let myself to think about that. And so now that I rented the car, I'm like, wow, that made me feel really good. The entire time, actually, throughout the weekend, there was at least 10 or 12 people that came up to me. I was like, oh my God, what do you do? I'm like, here, scan this code on my phone, multifamily, all this. And now I'm bringing people into my world and I didn't even have to go out and do it. The car did it for me. I'm like, this car, I'm naming this car the closer. The car is the closer. I'm not the closer. One of my friends told me that, and I didn't get it at the time when he was saying it. He's like, I have these really nice cars because by the time, sometimes I'll drive this car. By the time I get to the meeting, the deal is already closed when I come out of my car. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. If I showed up in a beat up Honda Civic, I'm probably not going to close any of these deals. I'm not going to inspire anybody to want to invest in multifamily deals. But if I showed up in a Rolls Royce Ghost, it's probably going to close the deal as soon as I show up. And see, like, these things started to change all because of my mindset. And I decided to rent a car that was $900 a day, which I'm like, I would never have done that before this. I'm like, okay, well, it's my 37th birthday now. It's about time I do something, like this. I continue to challenge my beliefs. And last week I talked about how I challenged my beliefs through olives and coconut water. All right. And it's still happening. Coconut water, I hated it. I had the story that coconut water is nasty for a long time. And when I went to Hawaii, I was like, you know what? Give me this coconut right here. I was about to die of thirst. So I was like, I'm gonna take this coconut water. And it's the best thing I've ever tasted in my life. And I'm like, I think I really like coconut water now. So now it actually happened that I really, really enjoy coconut water now. And for my whole life, I was like, nope, ill, nasty, never gonna have coconuts. I don't want any coconut on anything. And now I'm just like, I had a forgiveness moment with coconuts. I'm still working on it with olives, but it's still disgusting to me. Every time I say I hate olives, I take it, I put it in my mouth, I bite into it, and I have to spit it out. I don't know. The proper motivation has not come yet for me to have forgiveness on olives. But it did with these cars. Because now we're going to start a business in Vegas and in Nashville with supercars. If it wasn't for me renting that and really believing in that, I probably wouldn't have really believed into the supercars thing. Because I always thought, yeah, it might be a good idea, but who the hell would actually rent it? And it wasn't until I actually rented it, now I really believe in this business. So we're actually, as a team, we're going to be syndicating supercars for Las Vegas and in Nashville. Pretty funny. Okay, hey, Donna, go ahead.
Hey, so I have a similar story about things I did not want and how it turned out to be better than I thought. And it was around work. We used to sit in these cubes, and the woman next to me was a project manager, and she was going on vacation, and she spent like 8 hours calling people. Okay, when I'm out on Tuesday, you're going to do this. And when I'm out on Wednesday, you're going to do that. And like 8 hours of this noise. And I stood up in my cube and I said, I never, ever, ever want to be a project manager. Like, I was so adamant. And then like a year later, my department got disbanded, and they're like, oh, guess what? You're going to be a project manager. And I was so pissed off. I was like, this is not going to happen. And I was just like, but then as I got into the role, I understood how this could actually benefit me. So, it's just funny how you have a certain view of something, and then all of a sudden something shifts, and there you go. It actually turned out to be really good for me. So
yeah, I mean, oftentimes this is why the Course says you don't perceive your own best interests. It was like lesson number 5 or something like that. You don't perceive your own best interests. Also, you're never upset for the reason that you think. We make up all these stories. Oh, I'm never going to be a project manager because I saw this person. They're so stressed. They're this and they're that. Never. That's not going to be me. But it's about seeing that, okay, that was a projection. It's my projection. Every fear, every thought, everything that I'm experiencing, I projected it. It's not the project management position itself that's causing that. It's my interpretation of what's going on, of my relationship to the person that is in the project management spot. And we can do that with everything in our life. We interpret everything. We watch it, we learn it, we create a story around it, and it becomes our truth, which is not the truth of the world, but then it dictates the results that we get in life.
That's so good, Alex. Thank you for that. Hey, I just also wanted to mention something. I'm just happy to be on this call. I'm about to board a flight back home, but three things that you just went over that, I mean, are really touching me spiritually. First off, Hollywood, Florida, that's where I was born, which is crazy. I realized the value of money the other day when I was driving up. I pulled up to a light, and my goal was always to have an Audi Q5. So I reached that goal about 5 years ago. But I pull up to the light, and a Rolls Royce Ghost pulls up right next to me. And I'm like, what is the difference between my car and that car? I'm like, this guy bought a $250,000 car. I've got a $30,000 car. Why did my mind just stop at the Audi Q5? So now I want a Porsche Panamera. And the third thing is the coconut water. I hate coconut water, but I never really tried it, which is so funny that, dude, this call is so amazing. And I mean, dude, the fact that you're just talking about how we view money and how it can create freedom for us, but it's basically money spiritual. I heard something also a couple years ago that a Van Gogh in New York is worth millions, but if you give it to Eskimo in Alaska, he'll probably just use it for firewood. So, you know, money is spiritual. I think that was Rabbi Lapkin. He said that at a conference once. He's got some great books. Biblical Laws for Successful Business Owners, I think is one. But man, yeah, thank you so much for this call, man. It's very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you for being here and hearing that and yeah, receiving it. Appreciate it, brother. Antoine, what's up, man?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for today, for setting this up. Honestly, I'm having doubts about what you're saying in the terms of not expanding my mind and explore and thinking bigger. So the question is around scarcity of thought. At what point does one become maybe diligent, careful versus, I'm just going to go for it. I want to think big. I mean, I'm trying to find that balance, right? Do you have any advice in that space?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Here's what the Course says that we've done. We come to this earth knowing we are infinity. We are infinity. But then we get scared. There are things about this world that scare us. And then we put boundaries around infinity. Hey, don't be infinity. There's things that will happen, right? Let's be careful with our stuff. So the whole careful, there is one aspect, which is just kind of being responsible and being patient and allowing yourself to go at the speed in which you're going. So it's fine. Being careful, nothing wrong with being careful, being responsible. But if that becomes your trap, if you start to not want the things you want in your life, and being careful is one of those things that led you there, then maybe it's time to take some risks. Maybe it's time to trust a little bit more. Let's see the capacity in which God is running this world, not me. Because by being careful, I'm also implying that I know what to do. See, if I'm careful, I know that being careful is the right thing to do here. I perceive my own best interest. Every time I do that, I cut off my communication to God. I cut off my ability to see myself and the rest of the world and every person, every situation as infinity. As being only the light of the world, that only love can result. Only love can result from this relationship. But if I'm careful, I am putting into place like my lack of trust. See, my barriers that I'm creating is only showing me where I'm unable to trust. So if I see these barriers as that, then it's a beautiful lesson for me. But if I become the victim of these barriers and I can't live the life or have the relationships that I want because of these barriers, all I'm doing is reinforcing that these barriers are real. Every time somebody crosses this barrier, I automatically send my army to hunt them down. Because these barriers are real to me. I am about these barriers. Like they are the truth. That means when somebody steps over these barriers, oh, that's it, it's on. But if you stay on the outside of the barrier, you stay over there. You see, there's still a gap that I create between myself and my sisters, myself and my brothers, and I don't allow them to come to a certain part. Stay on the porch. You're the porch people, right? It's not an invitation into my house because I got to be careful who I let into my house. Now, if I have these fear thoughts, I will make my fears real. That means the people that I will actually end up inviting into my house will be the people that reinforces the idea that people should stay on the porch. You see, that's the power of our mind. Our mind is doing that because we want to be right about our stories more than we want to be right about happiness and creating a loving relationship. Because the truth of the matter is, if you let everybody into your house, 99% of those will actually be great relationships. And maybe 1% will test you, to see if you care about your barriers more. And then if not, you're like, okay, well, my conviction and my story is that everybody is loving and it's always going to be in my space. Then even that 1% that shows up, I see it as an expression of love, not of somebody that's here to harm me. And that's when love fills my mind. When love and God is on my mind, love and God is all I see everywhere. And if I see that everywhere, what do I need to be careful about? Everybody is either showing me love or calling me for love. It's love either way. It's love only. That's my thoughts on barriers and boundaries, because a lot of people say that. Now, if you are not ready, if letting go of those boundaries is going to create more fear for you, don't do it. Forcing yourself to try to conquer fear by doing that, only it reinforces the fear itself. Awakening and enlightenment does not happen in the space of fear. It comes when you're willing to see love in replacing where fear once was. That's where the awakening happens. All right, so yeah, if you've been burned and you're not ready to just take risks, then don't until you're ready. And you will be ready. All of us will be ready at some point. Somebody's going to come along and enroll you into trusting, into risking again, into loving again, into all of that. And until that person comes, it's cool. Just chill with what you're doing. Be okay with where you're at is where peace is going to be. Anxiety and all of this comes from wishing to be somewhere else than where you are right now. That somehow a different state of mind will give me more joy and happiness than where I am right now. The grass is greener on the other side is where all your troubles come from. But just by choosing your choice, we call it in the transformational training, choose your choice. You made a choice, choose it. Choosing your choice. Freedom comes from choosing the choice that you've made. That I believe exactly where I am. The people that I chose to put into my life. All of it, the good, the bad, is exactly where they're supposed to be and where I'm supposed to be. That's where freedom's going to rest. Yeah, so thank you for that question. There's a lot of that question that comes along with relationships and money and because we do have responsibilities with our parents. I mean, with our kids, with our house, with our dogs, all of that. So it's okay to be careful and have boundaries here and there, because you don't necessarily have to physically invite some kind of harm into your life to actually have a forgiveness moment with it. Forgiveness moment happens in your mind. It can happen in the presence of the person or not. You could be halfway around the world. Listen, I need to have boundaries around this person because around them, I really just can't be at peace. Okay, so remove yourself from the situation and you can practice forgiveness from a distance. That works. Because you allow yourself to be in the place that you can be calm and peaceful and still wanting to forgive this person. But when this person's in your face, all of a sudden, every time you want to be loving and whatever, you end up just fighting anyways. So then it's like, okay, let's take a little bit of a distance. It's not a big deal. There's no right or wrong. All right. So yeah, thank you for that question. That was great. Marlene, go ahead.
Yes, happy Sunday. I just wanted to acknowledge I don't know, the wisdom that just came through you right now, Alex. And I know you cannot repeat things that you just said sometimes, but I think you said something like the alignment happens when we are able to replace love where fear used to be, or something like that.
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, what you guys are sharing right now, it's very profound, because just yesterday we invited really good friends of ours in the house. We tried, by the way, we invited them to your capital raising activity as well. And I know they are interested always in investing, but when we started sharing that yesterday, right away, they're like, be careful, like do your like research. And when I mentioned Grant Cardone, I could see like their eyes were like, oh no. So I have to say they were really speaking my fear, because that used to be me. And I think it still means some instances. I tend to be super like acceptic, I think it's called, about these type of things. So I don't know if that was like my fear speaking to me in that moment, but for the first time, I was so present to that. I was like, no, I'm not going to take this right now. I am at peace where I'm at. The decisions I have made, and I will continue right now. I just have chills. I will continue this path,
Yeah.
of trusting, of moving forward. And what you just mentioned about a person that take away kind of our peace and center, it's also so valuable, because I'm forcing myself and it's just not working, Alex. I have tried and it's not working. So I need to be at peace where I'm at, and allowing time, God, or whatever it takes to get to that moment, because I know it will happen, but not on my terms.
Mm.
So just thank you. And everybody that spoke right now, it was just like God speaking to me through you. So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And it's when we are new at something, our friends, our family members, they will always tell us to be careful, right? They're always going to say, be careful, this and that, because we live in the world where there is a lot of scamming going on, a lot of, ADDs, okay, ADHD, which means like we get attracted to something and we do it for a little bit. And then because everything requires consistency, we're like, oh, it's not really paying off. I jump onto something else. So people don't really trust each other's, because we have our own, like following the shiny object syndrome, we project. And so maybe your friends that came, they're projecting their own shiny object syndrome, like onto you, like, oh, here you go. Don't be careful. You're hopping onto something like that. Right. And also I shared this, like when we said the capital raising event, a lot of people came, thought they were going to get pitched something and sold something, and none of that went down. Okay. And so that's why it's like, I was trying to demonstrate my way of actually building trust, because raising capital is really, we can call it building trust. That's all it is. Sometimes people go straight and just start talking about the deal, talking about this and that. You're preying on people's desperation also. I want people to choose it. Like I demonstrated value, and this is the direction that I could be put, And because I didn't even share anything, even the most skeptical person, my friend was like, oh man, this is the most skeptical person coming to this event, and he's going to ask all these questions, this and that. I didn't even mention anything. He messages and the next day to my buddy and goes, man, you guys didn't even like pitch any deals or anything like that. I really wanted to like, talk about this. And I'm like, and see, he now engaged the conversation. He doesn't even know that he's the one getting interested in it, right? There's a way of sales, I think, that is beyond what's being taught right now. That is an energetic exchange. like an invitation to home. Like this is where you can really feel safe working, a safe space to share, to invest, to bring up your fears, so that as a community, as a collective, we can help you through it. That's what we're trying to create here. Real estate investment, multifamily, all of that is a byproduct. All right, I've been building communities and building tribes like basically my whole life, since I was in a fraternity in college. I really learned it in college. The idea of a fraternity, the spirit of it, even though there was a lot of partying, hazing, all that stuff, but the spirit of a fraternity entered my soul. And my whole life since joining a fraternity has been mentorships, like mentoring younger generations and people that come after, and creating a community so that we can take down things together, bigger, faster, better. You know, like we used to do fundraisers. And as a fraternity, we were able to raise so much money and donate and do so much good. But by myself, it would have been a fraction of what could have been done. And so I'm all about creating that always. So that, and the next time people get invited to a capital raising event or a party, they may actually now not have an idea going into it. I guarantee all those people that came, if they were invited to the next one, they're like, man, that was fun. Let's go again. As opposed to they were probably a little bit guarded coming. All right. So it's all about mindset shifts. And I purposely named it Capital Raising Party, but it ain't about raising capital there. So it's a challenge, you know, it's a challenge to people's perceptions. And I do that a lot. I do things that kind of bring up something and they get guarded and it's like, oh, wow, this wasn't even it. I intentionally try to do that sometimes. So, yeah. Go ahead, Shirley.
Good morning, everyone. So there's just so much to unpack here. You can go into a rabbit hole. But first I want to say I can relate a lot with Marlene because, learning all these alternative ways of investing, like kind of diverging from the traditional way of investing, you want to share that with the world. I have family members that are very interested in investing, but when you have these conversations about syndication or fundraising, they start looking at you sideways like, who are these people? So they start questioning and you're kind of like, okay, do you want to learn or are you going to be skeptical the whole time? And so I've learned that even though I do want to share the fruits of what I'm experiencing now, I have to allow them to get there on their own. So I have to, even though it hurts inside, I don't want to stay quiet because I want to share it. I have to be respectful that they're not there yet. And so that's also with me. I had to come to this point to be able to be open and receive the information, right? And then my second thing that kind of caught my attention when you mentioned, and this is not verbatim, but the two levels of recognizing money. Money is neutral, and the way we think about it is how we create abundance. And so many times I had to fight with my own mind about what's expensive and what's not, because I grew up in scarcity, right? I didn't grow up with much. And so you have parents that tell you, hey, money doesn't grow on trees. Oh, that's too expensive though. And so I've had to fight with myself a lot of times where I want to go to different events or want to purchase this or purchase that or invest. And I'm like, I start questioning myself, but then I'm kind of like, but I have the money. Like, what is the problem? So it's kind of like a constant battle of just having an open mind and growing with your mind and receiving, and also doing your due diligence, of course, with everything. You have to do your homework, but being open and not close yourself off. So that's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. And as you're sharing that, something came to my mind, which is when it's important that we tell people what we're up to, but not to have them change their mind about it right now, not to have them invest with us right now, because no matter what, people will watch. All you're doing is asking them, hey, here's an invitation to watch my life. And whenever you want to join, come join it. Right? So it's like, watch what I'm doing. This is what I'm about, because there are so many people that has reached back out to me about investing that I once dropped like a little nugget about, a little seed. And they were like a hell no in the beginning, but just watching the progress of my life. See, when I drop these little seeds and my invitation is for people to come to this theater to watch my life play out, now I also push myself. There's another extra motivation to push myself. And the more people I invite to the show, the better of a show I better put on. That means I better go out and I better take all the lessons, all the courses, do all the things so that I can put on a good show. And that really is our life. The bigger and the better the show that you put on, the more enrolled your family is going to be in. So if they're not enrolled right now, it just means, all right, what do I need? What do I need to do? Right? If I said jump and they're like, nah, I don't want to jump. That means there's a place in which I can look at the way in which I create a relationship with them. It's not their fault. I'm not going to blame them for not trusting me. I know where to go. But it's like, who have I been my whole life in relationship with them that didn't build trust? That didn't build this trust. How have I been doing relationship my whole life? This is why at the event, when I said the capital raising event, I was like, don't try to meet everybody. Also, don't meet the friends that you came with and the people that you know. Meet one or two people in such a deep way, and then you'll be good when you leave here. Like, focus on quality of the relationship that you're building. What conversations are you having with people? Like a lot of people network with me, and immediately when we're like, let's get ready to, just connect on Zoom or whatever, first thing is like, here's my pitch, here's the pitch deck, here's my deal, and let me know what you think. I'm like, all right. I don't even look at those because there was no relationships being built. Now, the deals that I've invested in, I've actually not even looked at the deals. It was the people that I invested in. I have no idea what the deal was, really. I didn't read through it, nothing. I was like, I really like these people. I like the circle. I like the message that they share. I want to support them. I want them to be a resource that I can reach out to. And I'm investing in them to show them my commitment to them as a relationship, not as a deal. The deal is not that great of a return for me right now, but I believe the relationship that was built is way more than the investment that I put in. And when you invest in real estate, most of the times, if it's a good location, it's always going to make money. I mean, people accidentally make millions of dollars in real estate. So if you know something about real estate, you could probably make some money, right? So yeah, thank you for that. Go ahead, Connie.
Hello, good morning, everybody.
Hello, good morning.
I got some pushback last week for this event. So I'm going to tune in on the event and just a couple of other things that you said. And I got some pushback from work because I work in a real estate company, right? And I work with realtors, and I've known some of these realtors for, over 20 years. So they felt that it was kind of like a conflict of interest to invite these Century 21 realtors to this real estate multifamily event. And wow, I just kept thinking of my bright light, and no one is going to dim the light because I really, really believe in this. And I feel that every one of these realtors, because they're so in their lane, and it's a great career. Don't get me wrong, it's a great career. You can make a six-figure income with the right company, with the right training, with the right coaching. However, there are other ways of creating wealth. And that was my mission, to open that up, to see their eyes. So I got my directory. Everybody knows me. We have 4 offices, and I just started calling, texting, following up. I ended up with 15 people at the event. I don't know who else had 15 people there, but I'm thinking at the end of the day, I'm going, you know what, Connie, you did good. There were 75 people there. You got 20% of the people there. I don't even know if the math is right, but I had a good amount. Now, this is what I found, right? While they were there, some people didn't even know why they were there, right? And that blew me away. And they said it to somebody else, and I was standing there. They said, you know what? I don't even know why I'm here. I don't even know what this is about. I know it's got something to do with real estate, but I'm here because Connie invited me. That really, really blew me away. And the reason I'm saying that, and I'm saying it very humbly, is because that can apply to all of us. And life is about relationships, and it's about not just the people that you know, it's the people that know you and how you've nurtured that relationship, right? So if it's the relationship that you only see once or twice a year, or versus the relationship that you're seeing them on a Zoom every Monday night or every Thursday night or every Sunday morning. I talked to people on Thursday that I had never seen before physically, but I had met them on Zoom. And I feel so connected just with the little time that we spent. So, and also with my realtors too, because I got to see them in a whole totally different venue, right? They weren't Century 21 agents. They were there because of me, because they were curious about the event. And I think I just want to say to everybody that my word this year is connection. I'm really good with connecting with people, but what I'm not good is I'm not always good with nurturing the relationship. So I'm saying this out loud because I also want to make a declaration that is my declaration this year of nurturing. And I know some of you are here. I spoke to some of you. I know who you are, that I will connect more this year. And it's not just going to be on Zoom, and it's not just, I'm going to put in the effort. And I think that the more that you nurture those relationships, there is no work to do because people are watching. People are watching Alex in the car or at the event or at the next event that we're going to have, just like we are watching him. People are watching us. So I wanted to say who invited the friend. I think it was Marlene, that it's okay. All right. They'll come around. They're going to be watching you, and they're going to be watching your light and your spirit and what you're doing and where you're traveling to and where you're going out of town to meet the next group or the next convention. They're going to start getting curious. One of the things that I lead my life by is I say 3 things to myself. With anything that I do, does it bring me peace? Does it bring me profit? And does it bring me purpose? And as long as it brings me those 3 things, I'm pretty much 99% in with anything that I do. So going back to money. So this year, I wanted a remarkable. Right. And I put it out there, and part of me was like, God, that's so expensive, because when I first heard about it, I thought it was only a couple of $100. Well, it ended up being like $500 or $600. And I'm like, whoa, over that $500 line, that starts sounding expensive to me. But I just went back to that peace, profit, and purpose. Right. And Jack gave me the remarkable for Christmas. After that, just last week, we've been talking about juicing this year, and just we always take care of ourselves, but this is just another way to take it to a next level. And, we bought the $500 juicer, and it's awesome. It is awesome. It's time saving. It's healthy. I'm not spending $12 at the store buying the juices that they've pressed. I get to do it in my own kitchen, and we get to do it together as a family. So it's so true. Somebody wrote, I want a Mont Blanc pen. You're worth it. Get your Mont Blanc pen, if that's what's going to bring you peace, profit, and purpose. So, yeah, that's my nugget this morning. So thank you, Alex, and everyone.
Thank you, because what you just said right there, I had a scarcity moment with my juicer. I was like, first of all, I'm going to save money, okay, by doing the juicing at home. And actually, Michelle is here. She's the one that helped us with the juicing. Oh, my wife's scared. So we looked at juicers on Amazon. And I'm like, this is 100. This is 500. Let's buy the 100 one. And it sucked. I freaking juiced all day. The thing, I hurt my arm juicing. Like, it was just... It did not save me time. The thing constantly got stuck because it was weak. So you know what? And it cost me way more than that because I decided to buy that thing and never actually use it again. And I've been spending hundreds of dollars every time I go juice outside now. I can't even have fun with it, but I bet if I had a nice juicer, I would have had a good time with it. If it didn't break, if it didn't get stuck every time, I put a carrot in there, it was like, and it would get stuck. So I'm going home.
I wrote down which juicer, and I'll tell you what, we did, this is a year. This is a year for this juicer, because we have the juicer that you put in one piece of carrot. It's the Nama juicer, the Nama 2. That is the best thing out on the market because you literally can put in like a half a pineapple in there or a half a watermelon or a quarter of a watermelon and walk away. You don't have to be feeding it. It cuts down the time, 50% of the time. So enjoy the Nama.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Thanks, Jackie.
Definitely going to reach out to you about that because, I had that moment. I was like, I'm going to buy $100 juicer. That's terrible. I mean, just thinking about it now, like how I didn't buy a really nice juicer is beyond me right now. But thank you for that reminder because that juicer sits at our house. It will never be used again. And yeah, that was a shit show. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead, Natalia. What nuggets have you got for us this morning?
There it is. I was trying to unmute. So I raised my hand. It's so funny how these conversations, so perfect, how they always unfold. And I raised my hand at first with the question of when you started this conversation of how do I reconcile sharing with others what I already know and learn versus, how do I reconcile that idea with the not projecting? And then it was interesting how the conversation came about and then all these answers started coming out to me. And what I gather was about putting this show. So it was like put on the show, let others see it. People are already watching the same way that we're watching you, like Connie said, somebody else is watching us. And then just keep planting the seeds, building the relationships, and then essentially like the story of the bamboo, like watering the soil and all of that. So I thought it was like what I gathered was all of that. And it was really interesting to watch the conversation unfold as those answers were being, given back to me. So I wanted to share that little piece that I got. So thank you.
Yeah. So the story of the bamboo is like, you plant the thing for the bamboo. It actually takes years of it growing underground. And then all of a sudden, when it grows out of the ground, it grows like 80 feet in 1 year. So yeah, thank you for the reminder of the story of the bamboo, because that is how we should, the level of patience we should have with ourselves. You know, it's like, oh man, I've been in this multifamily thing for like the last couple months, and you know, I haven't gotten results, this and that. But once the results come, it's gonna be like 80 feet in 1 year. It's gonna be something ridiculous. All right, so like, give yourself the patience and the space to learn and the space to grow and to build, you know, amazing relationships in this time, because when your time really comes, you're going to want to be able to leverage and access all these resources that you've created in the past couple months or the past couple years, whatever that's going to look like. You know, that's the having the infinite patience with yourself. When I was getting into this game, like, I just did free calls for a whole year, 11 calls a day. I'm like, I don't know where this is going to result or amount to. I don't even know what's happening. I'm just building relationships. I'm not talking about deals. I don't need to sell them on anything. I just really want to know what is their gift? At what point can I service them? Can I offer my service to them? And what service can I use of theirs? That's all I'm looking for in every relationship. I want to find out what is their need, and then how do they fill my need? If those two things are filled, you can look deeply into that relationship, then you know. And you can leverage that once you've gotten to a point where it's your time to shine. When an opportunity truly comes your way, all of a sudden you've built this amazing foundation before that. You've got a community that you're a part of. You've got all these people that you've spoken with. You've got the knowledge and the know-how and the team and the mentors behind you to confidently be able to take something on. I mean, it could be in real estate, it could be anything. It could be social media, whatever you are passionate about. Like, the two things is really love what you're doing and then service to the people. How do you serve people? You love what you do and you serve people while you're doing it. Success will always follow that. Income will not be far behind that level of thinking. Yeah. So focus on that. Focus on the foundation you're building. Focus on your growth and focus on personal development, mindsets. Yeah. But thank you. Thank you both for that share, because that was awesome. Anybody else want to drop some nuggets on us this morning? Hector's committed. He's been in the airport. He's sitting at Delta. He's gone all the way onto the plane until they force him to turn off his phone. He's here. Yeah. So let's see what else. What else? Anybody on Instagram want to share anything? Please feel free. I see some awesome people on there too. You guys should join us on the Zoom. On the Zoom. A lot of hearts. Ask your questions, your comments. And you know, there's on these calls, a lot gets said all the time. A lot of great messages come through all of us. And the thing about it is that there's no need to hold on or grasp onto anything. We can write some things down that inspire us, but nothing that we are saying right now that innately we don't already know inside. We just need to be reminded. So on these calls, it's for me to remind myself. I use you guys to remind myself. and hopefully it's a collective reminder. You know, a lot of times people are like, man, A Course in Miracles is so hard to grasp. How do I read it? I'm reading this page and I'm stuck on this paragraph. I'm like, if you're stuck on it, just keep moving. Keep moving and keep reading until you get to a part that gives you the aha moment. And once you have that aha moment, you can take a pause and reflect on that. But you don't need to understand everything. The spirit behind what is written, the spirit behind all that we do is very simple, and it's right there. It's just different angles of pointing us to that space of love and trust and purpose and clarity. What's up, Steve? Welcome.
Hey, what's going on? I was watching the YouTube and because I couldn't really interact at the time, but I caught on late, so I missed a good chunk.
You didn't miss much. So yeah, we're kind of in this space that we're sharing right now. Usually around this time is where I'll read something from the book, but left my book at home. So more interactions, I guess. So yeah, anybody facing any challenges, resonating with any of the conversations that we've been having this morning?
Alex, Anthony, I'll go. So, yeah, so right now where my spirit is at is about a lot of old projects that we dreamed about in the past or that died. And then they just kind of, went away in the ether. And when I get on these calls, I get the renewed spirit. I get a new mind shift about how to think about things. And I guess maybe if I'll ask it as a question, is there anything you can add to us today in terms of maybe how to revive old dreams, old projects when you have renewed yourself? How do you apply yourself in these situations?
Yeah, you always ask such great questions. It's so like, let's get the answer. It's so specific, which is
Yes.
yeah. And it's the thing about it is when you are in these spaces, okay, so like this, oftentimes what it does when we're on these calls and we're talking about something that's deeper and beyond, something beyond the physical, right? We're talking about spiritual things. You'll have moments of clarity and download. Like we're talking about relationship, forgiveness. All of a sudden you're thinking about a past project. It came for a reason. You dreamed it for a reason back in the day. You wanted to do it and we put it aside. But those things come while you're in these moments of clarity. You want to reflect on those things a little bit more. You want to think about it, be intentional about bringing that into your thinking. A lot of times for me, when I take a shower is when, a lot of really awesome downloads and clarity come to me, because when I go into the shower, I actually ask for all that doesn't serve me to be washed away and let whatever is new is supposed to happen come to my space now. And the stuff that always doesn't serve me is like, I get confused sometimes. I start doubting myself sometimes. Those are the things that come up. They're like dirt. They're like dirty. I'm like, wash that stuff away from me. And it goes away. And then all of a sudden I get download clarities of new projects, of new things that I want to do. And then there will be little throughout the rest of the week, I'll have little ideas about that big project. I'm like, oh my God. I think about it. I'm like, wait, I got to do this. Then I immediately reach out to somebody that can help me. What do I need to do? I'll pay whatever to get this next step moving forward. And this is why actually in our community, so in the Legends group, we actually have so many people supporting me on that. Like we have a think tank because I am just ridiculous. I keep throwing random ideas in there and like everybody's like helping me, like remind me, hey, on this call, let's talk about this thing that you thought of. And everybody can participate in it, because I think it's really important that as we are getting clear on our own personal path and vision, that we can align it to a bigger vision, a bigger group, a bigger community that is aligned, is doing what we want to be doing. That what I can add to it is only going to grow everyone around. I have a vehicle to be in service to people. Like I believe that is extremely important for all of us to find our tribe. I actually am one of my mentors in my life. He's doing his last Find Your Tribe men's group. I'm like, I'm in, no matter what it takes. He's like, I'm like, I don't care what day it is, because I do have things that I'm scheduled for days and times. I'm like, I don't care. I'm doing it because it's about bringing your tribes together, finding your community, finding the right person. All you have to do is seek for one person to be in your life that's going to help you make something happen. So the dream that you have, Antoine, whatever it is, there is one person that can help you make that happen. You got to find that person. Start speaking into it. Start talking about it more so that this person will respond to your dream and your vision. And oftentimes, if you can dream it, that person is already in your life. They're already there. They're waiting for you to share this dream and revive it again so that you guys can create something together. That may be the purpose of your entire relationship. I don't know. But when you start to have these downloads and you start thinking about the things that you wanted to do in the past, then and it was once a dream, like it's never too late. That might be your life's mission to have that happen. You know, and a lot of times when we remember it again in this space, it's because it was something bigger than we are. It was like something that I wanted to do that will fulfill, that will maybe relight the fire inside me, that helps me, that gives me purpose and clarity.
Thank you for that. I'll just throw it out there to make it more real. So both my parents are teachers internationally in Africa. And I've lived my life, my whole life, not my whole life, but I've spent like 30 years in the US. And I'm in technology. And one thing that I want to do before I die for sure is all the knowledge that I've acquired to use technology to push education across the world, especially under third world countries. It doesn't have to be only Africa. So and it's been around, this dream has been around since 1991, whatever, how long that is.
Yeah, well, for sure, the technology is in place now for you to leave this legacy. You know, I don't know, maybe 1991, that was, it would have been a lot of work because technology wasn't ready yet. So see, that was also the level of patience that you needed to nurture this idea longer. You needed to do the things you've done in your life since 1991, meet the people in your life to actually now bring clarity on the next steps to having this happen. You know, because that's a very big, lofty dream, but you need to bring it down to specific action steps, you know, that can start pushing you towards it. And all you need to do is, what's the next step that I need to take? You don't need to know the whole path. You need to know your vision and you need to know the next step. That is it. And who's going to help you? Who's going to help you do it?
Thank you.
Awesome. But thank you. Thank you for sharing that. You have witnesses of a whole bunch of people here that know this. And if nothing's happened in the year, somebody is going to ask you about it and remind you. So you've now planted a seed across the board also. So great. Yeah. And I always say this too, for people that are like confused and lost about their purpose and what they want to do, is that your entire life has set you up to this moment to the exact person that you need to meet, the exact person that you need to serve. Your life, you should constantly be thinking about, man, all these things and all these people I've met in my life, they're teaching me something. They're giving me a gift to give to this one person. Who's this one person? This one person is your avatar. And this avatar is a collective of a whole bunch of people, a community, a country, you know, a certain group of people, you know. So yeah, I'll always, you know, start to think about that. Like, who have I been set up to serve in my whole life? You know, up to this point. And at different stages of your life, it'll be different people. But the sooner we can start thinking about that, you know, the sooner we will start to live a more purposeful, driven life. Yeah. Yes, Donna.
No, it's funny you say that because recently, you know, I was always trying to figure out where to best serve people who have a fear of public speaking. And it came up to me that my avatar is primarily women in real estate, although not limited to women, but, you know, and then all of a sudden I got all these clients coming in. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Amazing. And keep sharing that. Keep sharing that and keep having things around it. Like, you know, it'll get more and more uncomfortable as a bigger group of people that you're going to share. You know, you share this to a bigger group of people, then a bigger group of people, and it will get uncomfortable because you'll feel like, oh man, my capacity to teach all these people, what do I need to do? Right. And it's
Exactly.
and then you just surround yourself with the people that are already doing big things, and they'll help you make it happen. I'll help you make it happen. You know?
Thank you. Yes, definitely you have helped already. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Cool. So yeah, we're starting to come towards the end of this call. I feel like everybody contributed to this call. I mean, even if you didn't say anything, by being here, by watching any part of this, you have contributed your energies to this. And Christina, I see that you've been here this entire time. You are amazing. I'm so glad that we got to meet. And I feel a relationship, a good relationship that's meant to be formed here. So thank you for trusting, and thank you for always supporting and always smiling. I hope to see you on our Zoom next time. Yes. So yeah, who else? What else is going on?
Hey, Alex.
Hey.
I'll ask a question because I wrote it down when you were talking about challenging your beliefs on like the money, especially the money. I think it's for everybody, but it's me. You know, I know that I have this always scarcity problem always in my mind. Oh, I want that, but you know, maybe it's too much or what have you. So you spoke about earlier, you know, yeah, sure, it's fine if you want to put barrier or you want to be careful, but be careful that that could be your own trap as well. Then you're not moving forward, right? When you spoke about, you know, renting this car, it's $900 a day. Do you ever have like what is that buyer's remorse?
Buyer's remorse is that you are not choosing what you chose. You wish you can choose something else, right? That's the problem. See, when I said that, all of our problems stem from that I wish I could be somewhere other than I am. I wish I could have a different state of mind than what I have. I wish I could choose something other than what I chose, but you can't. You already chose it. So how do you make the most of it? That now becomes, if we start to focus on that, because, you know, at one point, and I continue to think this is why we want to set big goals in our lives, because I'll set a goal and it's like 100,000. I remember when I was like, I only want to make $5,000 a month, you know, and I remember that was my big goal. Now I don't even know how I would live my life on that. And this is not like a bad and wrong or in the judgment type of things, but for me and where I've been and what I'm doing and the people that I want to serve, I don't know how I can live on $5,000 a month. Okay, I spend that much on my Instagram every month. Like, so I don't know how I can do that right now anymore. Obviously, I could just put everything down and go live somewhere, and I could live 5,000 a month. But my dreams and my goals and the amount of people that I want to serve now is so big that I can't go backwards. And it requires me to push beyond what I thought was expensive, what I thought I could afford, because I never thought I would spend $5,000 a month on social media. But my mindset has gotten to, how do I spend 10? How do I spend 20? How do I spend more and make sense of it? Right. So it's like what Connie said, there's a point that you get to, every dollar that you spend, you're going to make $3 back. There's a point that you get there, but it doesn't get there if you're afraid to do it. If you have a limitation on it, because then the way that you will do it is you will look for returns first. And it just does not work that way. The game requires you to break out of your limitations in order to win. Because the limitations doesn't exist. We made the limitations. They are not real. Now I have like challenges to myself, and it's not like it's, you know, anything. It's like, can I make $1 million in 1 month? First, I was like, I want to make $1 million in 1 year. And I had this writing on my walls, like $2,732 every day. You make $1 million a year. And I'm like, okay, that's my goal. And then now it's like, well, I want to invest $1 million as an LP this year. And then I'm like, wait, can I make $1 million in 1 month? I have no freaking idea how to do all these things. But it's just like, I need to break my mind, my limitations on my mind. Because to Grant, if Grant Cardone was like making $1 million in 1 month, he'd be like, ugh. He'd be like, that is so small. He's like, I don't know how people live off $1 million a month. Right? So like, it's simply our mindset around it. And if we can keep practicing seeing it first, like believing and recognizing that the limitations was made up. If I can start to first have a relationship to the limitations that I made, that's the game that you're playing. See, all the other stuff, like, oh, I spent the money here and this, and oh my God, money's gone. You'll always make more money. Don't worry about that. You lose $100,000, you'll make it again. You don't need to worry about it. But it's like, how long do you stay on that? What type of stories you take from that? Do you create more limitations, more barriers, more like, I need to be careful? Or do you learn from it to recognize, how can I do it bigger, better, faster next time? Yeah. So I guess the theme, the core part of that is you got to choose what you've chosen. Otherwise, you can sit there, and if you think, man, I bought this thing and it's just a bad purchase, then it's going to be a bad purchase. You know, but if it's still ongoing, then, and if you still own it, you can always turn that around still. Every moment you can turn it around. You know, for example, when I first bought the mentorship, a real estate club program, I was like, oh man, I don't know about all this. Then I was like, let me just choose my choice. Okay, I chose it, it's done. What do I make out of it? I met this person. Then my mind starts going towards who I met and what they've helped create in my life. Then I'm like, this all came from me choosing the club. Right? And it all just shifted because I'm choosing now to make the most out of what I chose before. And I keep choosing it every moment. Yes, that was a good choice. I made it because that's, you know, this is exactly what I needed to learn. This is the exact place I needed to be. And any one line, any one person that you meet is worth 25 grand, 30 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand. It's the value in our own minds. If I paid $1 million for Grant Cardone's real estate club, I would definitely have buyer's remorse. And then I'll think about, Mike Bailey that I met. Is he worth $1 million in my life? You know, and I don't know, but it's up to me to make him worth that. That means I got to keep deepening and building this relationship and creating more opportunities. It's up to me. I chose it. And I'm still choosing it right now. You know?
Thank you. That was very helpful.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a great question. A lot of people face this buyer's remorse thing. Go ahead, Connie.
Wow, a lot is coming up this morning with this conversation. So what you just said, so I always focus on the good decisions that I make, because obviously I don't make every decision doesn't come out the way I thought. But for the most part, that's what I'm always talking about, right? Like to myself, to Jack, to my family, to the kids. I've been working for 56 years. I started working when I was 14. Do the math. Don't wait. like do it now, like get the Mont Blanc, like get rid of that scarcity talk. This year, Jack and I, last year we turned 70. I'm not your average 70. I get that. But you know what? This year I did a vision board. We try to do a vision board every year. And the last time we had done it was like about 3 years ago. I love it. It's the most awesome thing. So on our vision board, we have Thailand and Bali. Okay. It takes about 36 hours to get to Thailand and Bali. All right. And, but this is what's coming up for me. Ever since I put it down on that board, which was 2 weeks ago, I found out, I didn't know this. My brother lives in Austin. His best friend is from Bali, Thailand. I was at the party the other night. Somebody brought up Bali again. Last night, I was at my sister's house and she had this beautiful couple that had just had twins over, little month-old twins. Guess where she's from? She's from Bali. So to me, it's just like, like just embrace it, feel the fear, do it anyway. Jack was a little resistant. He looked at me and I said to him, when are we going to do it? If we don't do it now, when are we going to do it? But regardless of the time or the age, it's like, Lyra, do it now. If you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? Right? And you are going to make the right decision. So, yeah.
Amazing. I can't wait to see you in Bali and Thailand. Every choice and every decision you've ever made in your life, given enough time, it will show you that it was the right choice. So you can choose it now or you can wait for enough time to go by. Like I'll tell you this, multi-level marketing company, be careful. This is actually where all the be careful actually comes from. Okay. Everybody got sucked into some MLM business. And because they were promised this and they didn't do it, and it just ends up falling aside. They try to enroll a whole bunch of people into it, and it just like landed on their face, and they're like, man, I looked really bad doing all that. So now that's where all the be careful comes from, actually. So I was in an MLM business. I've actually been in multiple, and I don't know, it was great. I'm doing the same thing that I'm doing. I'm pitching, and then all of a sudden something happens with the company, it disappears, this and that. All the work I did, all the enrollment, same thing. All these people are like, remember when you were doing Isaac and this and that? But you know what? What I learned there, and I think about it now, if it wasn't for those companies, I would not be where I am today. The amount of uncomfortable situations I put myself in. The best thing that they had was their leadership trainings. The leadership trainings that happened, they're the Tony Robbins type of trainings. It was all mindset. We did so many things like that. I remember there was a time where the entire conference got dropped off at the Hoover Dam with no phone, no money, and you had to find your way back to the conference. The entire conference. It was ridiculous. Like, I think we might have gotten in trouble, like the company might have gotten in trouble for doing that. But we were the third, me and my buddy, because we were in a fraternity, we did a lot of uncomfortable stuff. We were the second people to make it back to the hotel. As soon as we got there, we were working people. Other people got there, were standing around in their own shit for a long time. Should I talk to this person? Should I not? All of a sudden somebody else did. Oh, they're on their way. Shit, I should have done it. And there's going back and forth, the delaying, right? The delaying of our own stuff that's in the way. And, what I learned always from those is like having a really good relationship with our uncomfortableness. Like every time I do a call, I swear to God, I'm super nervous. Like I know every Monday a whole bunch of people are going to show up, but I'm still really nervous. I don't know what I'm going to say. When I got onto the stage at the birthday event, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to say? All these people, like, I didn't know there was actually going to be a stage. Like, I'm okay with speaking in front of some people. Now I'm like, I'm rised up on this platform thing. Like everybody's sitting down there. I'm like, oh my God. And then all these lights, everybody's phones had these bright lights in my eye. I'm like, oh my God. You know, like I was very nervous for a while. And you know, and it still turned out great. So you just gotta put yourself in those situations, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, yes. And trust. There's so much trust that gets to happen for all of us because God's got our back, no matter what we choose. And this life is a game. You know, when we start to see it that way, then we can start to shift. We can start to see what is possible. And yeah, we'll take one last question, Marlene, and we'll wrap it up with a final lesson.
No, I was just going to ask you if you were going to do the lesson because I heard that you don't have the book with you. So do you need any help there?
Why? Do you have the book with you?
I do.
Okay, why don't you just flip to the back to a lesson anywhere? You don't need to choose them. This is what I always do. Just flip around the 200, 300s, and then why don't you close this out with a lesson?
And by the way, guys, I'm offering because it scared me like crazy. If I do not read it correctly, I apologize in advance. It came to lesson 308. It says, this instant is the only time there is. I have conceived of time in such a way that I defeat my aim. If I elect to reach past time to timelessness, I must change my perception of what time is for. Time's purpose cannot be keep the past and future one. The only interval in which I can save from time is now. For in this instant has forgiveness come to set me free. The birth of Christ is now without a past or future. He has come to give his present blessing to the world. I am so sorry. Restoring it to timelessness and love. The love is ever present, here and now. Thanks for this instant, Father. It is now I am redeemed. This instant is the time you have appointed for your Son's release and for salvation of the world in him. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Which lesson was that? What number was that?
308. And it's workbook for students.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was awesome. A Course in Miracles, Shirley. ACIN. All right. So thank you all for joining us. Great read, Marlene. Thank you. Maybe we're going to have you lead us out on every call from now on.
Please do not.
All right. I heard please do. All right. We will we'll see you on Wednesday. Thank you guys all for being here. You guys are truly, truly amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. See you later.